Hi, third graders. This is Mrs. Oyster, and today I'm going to be teaching you the first lesson of our new unit. This unit is called Area and Perimeter, and we are going to be reviewing area. We're going to be learning how to find the perimeter of figures, and then we're going to put area and perimeter together. So today is day one, and today we are just focusing on area, and I want you to be able to determine the area of any rectangle. Hopefully some of this will be review because that word area should sound familiar. We talked a lot about area when we were learning multiplication and using an area model to solve our multiplication facts and also solving area story problems. So hopefully this will sound familiar. So first of all, let's talk about what area is. Remember, I just referred to those area word problems that we practiced. Area problems are problems where you're trying to find out the amount of space that is covering a rectangle. So our answers would always be in square units. For example, here's a sample problem right here. Lucy's blanket is 2 feet wide by 3 feet long. What is the area of Lucy's blanket? That problem is trying to find out how much space is covered by Lucy's blanket. We know the width is 2 feet. We know the length is 3 feet. And the way we would solve for the area is to multiply the width by the length. 2 times 3, which gives us 6. Our answer for an area story problem is always in square units. Always, always, always. So, since this is 2 feet by 3 feet, then our answer is 6 square feet. You can use multiplication to solve and find the area of any rectangle if you know the length and the width. So here's some pictures of examples. You might find the area of a rug, a rectangular rug. You could find the area of a raised garden if it's in the shape of a rectangle. You could find the area of the top of a desk if it's a rectangle. So take a look around the room that you are in. See if you can see anything that is a rectangle that you could find the area of. I happen to be in my room right now recording this, and I could find the area of the top of my nightstand. I could find the area of the top of my dresser. I could even find the area of this laptop computer sitting in front of me because it is also in the shape of a rectangle. So area is the amount of space covered by an object. We measure rectangular objects by multiplying the length times the width of the object. Now, if you happen to have a picture that has the square units drawn on it, so you can actually see the squares, you could carefully count the square units. We will be doing some problems like that. So what do we know? Well, area problems are determining the total area of rectangular objects by multiplying the length by the width of these objects. Now, when we were doing multiplication, we often just called them the sides of the rectangles. We would multiply the two sides that we knew. Sometimes we called those the factors because in multiplication, those numbers are the factors. In this case, when we're talking about rectangles, we'll be saying length and width. Those are just ways to label the sides. So, if Corbin got a new book that is 12 inches long and 10 inches wide, what is the total area of his book? We know that this is an area story problem because guess what? It says area right there. But even if it didn't, we could figure out that it's an area problem using some clues. For example, it talks about the length of his book, 12 inches long. It talks about the width of his book, 10 inches wide. And then it asks for the total area. Now, question, if our unit is inches, 12 inches by 10 inches, our answer will be what? It will be square inches. So to solve this story, we could draw a rectangle, we could label the sides, and then what would we do with those two sides? Do you remember? We multiply the two sides. And I'm not going to take the time to do that here because we will do many practices in just a moment. Okay, so speaking of practice, here we go. How do we determine the area of rectangles? Well, let's review again what area is. It's the total amount of space covered by a shape. It's the number of square units inside a shape. Now look at this rectangle right here. Can we see the square units inside this rectangle? No, we cannot. So this one, we cannot find the area by counting the square units. But area is also found by multiplying the length times the width of a rectangle. So take a look at this. This rectangle, the length is 5 square feet. The width is 3 square feet. So to find the area, we would do the length, 5, times the width, 3, and that's going to give us our area. So what is the area of this rectangle? The area is 15 square feet because 5 times 3 is 15. Now let's look at this one. Again, we want to multiply the length times the width to find the area. Now, if you look at this rectangle, you can actually see the square units. So if you wanted to, you could count all the squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But I would rather do it a little more quickly. So I'm going to count the length, 6. And then I'm going to multiply it by the width, 1, 2, 3, 3. And that will give me the area, 6 times 3. Well, what is 6 times 3? 6 times 3 is 18. So the area of this rectangle is 18 square units. Notice I said units because I don't know if these are inches or miles or kilometers or yards. I just know that there's a square unit there. Now up here, I didn't say square units. I said square feet because my unit was labeled. So to sum up, to find the area of a rectangle, you multiply the length times the width. Okay, now how can we use what we just learned in geometry to help us find the area of rectangles and squares? Well, we know that with a rectangle, the opposite sides are always equal. Okay, so here's a rectangle. I know if this side is 7, I know this side's going to be 7. I know if this side is 2, I know this side's going to be 2. That's just the way rectangles work. If it's a rectangle, the opposite sides are going to be the same length. Now, what do we know about squares? Well, squares, all sides are the same length. So I know that if this side is 6 millimeters long, then this side has to be 6 millimeters, and the other side has to be 6 millimeters. Okay, so to model that, if this is 6, oh, hold on. That didn't quite work for me. One moment. Highlighter. Let's try green. Oh, it did work. Okay. If this side is 6, then that means this side is 6, which means that this side is 6, which means that this side is 6, right? Because it's a square. By definition, a square has to have all 4 sides the same length. Now, on this rectangle, though, if this side is 7, sorry for the, oh, wow, it straightened it for me. If this side is 7, then I know that this side is also 7. I'm going to switch my color just so I don't confuse you guys. I know if this side is 2, then that means that this side also has to be 2. Now that will come into play when we do perimeter as well, so go ahead and tuck that back in the back of your brain. We'll be coming back to that later. But this is going to help us today with finding the area of rectangles. All right, so let's practice. Let's determine the area of this rectangle. And I just happened to notice that it gives you the answer. That's okay. The length, L stands for length. The length of this rectangle is 6 feet. The width, W stands for width. The width is 3 feet. So this is a 6 foot by 3 foot rectangle. And I want to know how much space it covers, how many square feet it covers. How do I figure that out? Remember, area is length times width. So I'm going to do 6 times 3, which is 18. So 6 feet times 3 feet equals 18 square feet because the length times the width equals the area. And here's another one. The length of this rectangle is 7 inches. And the width of this rectangle is 5 inches. Now remember, to find the area, we'll multiply length times width. So we're going to do 7 times 5 to find the area. 7 times 5 is 35 square inches because the length times the width equals the area. So this one I did not give you the answer to. See if you can figure it out. Remember, area equals length times width. The length of this rectangle is 8 square units. The width is 3 square units. Multiply 8 times 3 to find the area. The area of this rectangle is 24 square units because 8 square units per row, or a length of 8, times 3 rows, or a width of 3, 8 times 3 is 24. So the area is 24 square units. All right, now determining the area of a square. Look at what we've got here. I've got a length of 7 and a width of n. Why didn't they tell us the width? How are we going to figure this out if they don't give us the width? Because we know that area is length times width. I wonder if you figured it out. Think about what we know about a square. All four sides of a square are the same. So if we know that this is 7, guess what this is? It's also 7. One moment, my pen is a little slow. There we go, it's also 7. So if we know that length is 7 and we know the width is 7, can we figure out the area? We sure can. We're going to multiply the length times the width. 7 times 7 is, I don't know if it'll move it. Oh, there we go, 49. 49 square inches. So the length of 7 times the width of 7 inches equals 49 square inches. Okay, let's try another one. So this one, it's not covered up. Sorry, I guess I gave away the answer. If the length is 4, what is the width? We know it's a square. It says it's a square. If the length is 4, the width is 4. So in order to find the area, we're going to multiply the length times the width. 4 centimeters times 4 centimeters equals 16 square centimeters because the length times the width equals the area. You notice I keep saying length times width equals area? I'm saying it over and over again because I want you to remember that. It's very important. All right. So for your practice today, you have one page in your math packet. It's front and back. And on this one, they do have all the squares drawn in. So you could potentially just count all the squares, but I don't want you to do that. I want you to count the length, count the width, and multiply to find the area. Now, if you want to count the squares to check your answers, go for it. But I really want you to practice using that formula. Length times width equals area. So this is page 12 in your packet. If you want to pause and get it and open up, you can. We'll do the first 5 together. Okay, so I'm going to start with this one on the left, and I'll use green this time, mix things up a little bit. So I'm going to start with the length. And it really doesn't matter which one you label as length and width because remember what we know about multiplication? You can multiply them in any order and you'll get the same answer. So for the sake of ease, I'm going to say the longest side is always the length because long, length, they both start with L. That's easy for me. So let's see, I'm going to count the length here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this has a length of 6. Now I'm going to count the width. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it has a width of 4. To figure out the area, remember what I've said 5,000 times already. Length times width equals area. So I'm going to do 6 times 4 equals 24 square units. Nice work. All right, let's try this one. All right, the length up here, 1, 2, 3, 4 is 4. And the width is 1, 2, 3. How do I find the area? Length times width. So 4 times 3, 12 square units. Excellent. Okay, oh, this is a long length. I'm going to count carefully to make sure I don't make a mistake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Goodness, that is a long rectangle. So that has a length of 12 and a width of 2, just a little baby. So how do I find the area? Length times width. Good job. 12 times 2. 12 times 2 is 24. Excellent. We got 2 more. Let's start with this one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It has a length of 6. 1, 2, 3. It has a width of 3. How do we find the area? Length times width. 6 times 3 is 18 square units. Excellent. All right, last one that we're going to do together. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across, and it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So length times width. The length and the width are the same on this one. I'm going to multiply to find the area. 5 times 5 is 25. Excellent job. All right, so for the remainder of those rectangles in your packet, I would like you to do them on your own. Remember, count. I want you to label the sides like I did here on this screen. It's really important to label just so you can go back and check your work in case you make any mistakes. So label the length, label the width, and then multiply them to find the area. There's 2 more on this page on the bottom that I did not put on the screen. And then there are 6 more rectangles on the back. All right. Good job today. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next time.